Now Reichl is trying something new. She's out with the first in a series of fiction books titled Delicious. And Ruth Reichl is here. Welcome to Greater Boston, or I should say, welcome back.
It's great to be here. Thanks.
So you're trying your hand at fiction. What inspired you there?
I love fiction. I love fiction more than anything. And I thought, this is what gives me great pleasure. So let me see if I can give other people the kind of pleasure I get from diving into a book and vanishing for a while.
It's daring. All right, so it's based on, Delicious is the name of a food magazine in New York, and your character goes to work there and then it shuts down. Did this draw any on personal experience at all? I mean, you were at Gourmet for a while.
Well, it sort of came out of the closing of Gourmet. I mean, there was a moment when I was packing up my office, everybody else had left, and I went into the library and I found all the letters that had been written to the magazine, and they were boring.
Oh.
They were really boring. And so I went back and sat down at my desk and wrote the letters I wished I had found. So I was very interested in World War II. So there are letters from a little girl who writes to James Beard asking for help cooking. Her father's in the war, her mother's working in an airplane factory. And so that was kind of the beginning of this book. And I didn't do anything with them right away, but I always had in the back of my mind, oh, I've got these letters that I wrote.
You know, I'm interested about the whole culture around a magazine because, you know, foodies read it, it's distributed that way, and, you know, everybody likes to look at the pictures and can I do that, but is it as intense as any news organization like, Newsweek or any of those?
It is, absolutely. I mean, you know, when I took over a magazine that liked to call itself timeless, and I think magazines should be timely. So we were changing.
Yeah, there you go.
And we were changing that up till till it went on press. We were changing it, trying to make it better. There's nothing more fun than working at a magazine. It's the most collaborative work there is.
I think that's a good point about being timely. I mean, I'm really curious, and this is almost old already, but your whole take on this gluten-free movement, and, you know, the stores are just lined with this stuff. Special menus, even in Italian restaurants. I mean, it's like, gluten-free pasta. And it's like, what is your take?
Well, I mean, clearly people aren't inventing this. People have real problems with gluten, and I think it has something to do with the way wheat has been hybridized. And, it's part of, we've industrialized our food to an extent that a lot of it just isn't good for us anymore. And you have to learn to navigate this new food landscape. And that's one of the things that magazines are there to help you do.
But most people don't have celiac disease. They're using this as a tool to lose weight or to feel better. Or...
Well, I think a lot of people really do have gluten intolerance, not celiac, maybe not full-blown celiac, but I think it's, just as, when I was growing up, nobody had peanut diseases.
No.
And you can't dispute the fact that there are kids who, practically die when they are exposed to peanut butter. I mean, that's...
Or they had it and we didn't know.
Well, I think you would have known. I mean, you can see the physical manifestation of it. I mean, we have done something to our food supply. We've changed it.
So you have won the prestigious James Beard Award. Maybe I have this wrong, but I think 6 times.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
There's a local restaurateur here, Jamie Bissonette, who just won it on May 5th. You must know him. He has Copa, is that the way I say it?
Yeah.
Copa, and what's the other one? Toro?
Toro,
Toro.
Yes.
What does it take to win that? How, are you judged by your peers? How did he even get in the mix? He said he didn't even know he was in the mix.
Well, you don't know. I mean, it's done anonymously, but it's done by your peers, and people nominate, and then there's a very elaborate voting procedure. It's different for the Journalism Awards. That's done by a committee of your peers. The Chef Awards are actually done on a sort of nationwide election.
So how many people are actually in the mix at the end when they're actually deciding a winner? Is it kind of like the Academy Awards or something?
The Academy Awards is 743 people or something. It's a tiny group of people. And my guess is that this is kind of not that I know, but my guess is that it's kind of a tiny group of people who are, deciding who's really good among themselves.
And what does it do for your career after winning something like that?
It sort of depends. I mean, for chefs, I think it's very prestigious and important. For journalists, I don't suppose. I mean, actually, when I was at the New York Times and I won, I was not allowed to go because I was supposed to be anonymous.
Oh.
And
Oh, right. You were a critic, so you couldn't really.
and my boss went and accepted the award for me,
Yeah.
and then neglected to tell me for 4 days that I had won. And somebody congratulated me, and I said, "Did I win?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you."
Oh, so I forgot there were categories. So you win in chef, and you can also win for food writing.
And, yeah, for cookbooks, for food writing. I think it's very important for cookbooks. I think it's very important for chefs. For journalists, I mean, I don't think anybody hires you because you've won a James Beard Award.
Yeah. Oh, well, people go to your restaurant, though.
But people definitely go.
That jumped out about Jamie Bissonnette.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a real mark of you've arrived for chefs. It's very important.
Do you miss the days, going undercover incognito and going around to all those wonderful restaurants? And
I really don't. I mean, I gave that up before I went to Gourmet, and it's putting on those disguises is very time consuming. It's like eating dinner
what was your best
in a bathing.
Yeah. Oh.
My best one was probably Betty. I mean, I had two that I loved the best. One was Chloe, my very sultry blonde. I always wanted to know what it was like to be blonde.
Sure.
They do have more fun, as you would know. And then
Whatever do you mean?
Then I had an old lady who it was very interesting seeing what it was like to be invisible. I mean, this is a woman I followed home one night. I got up to give her my seat on the bus, and she said, "Oh, dearie, no one ever stands up for me. Sometimes I feel invisible." And I thought, I'm trying to be invisible.
Did you ever try obese, just for that?
I did large people, but you'd have to buy a fat suit,
I know.
and that's very expensive.
All right. So it's fun to have you here.
Thank you.
Ruth
Great to
Reichl.
be here.
Thank you.